The Green Suiters podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to support our show, get early access to each episode, get your questions read on there, and you want to listen to each episode ad-free, then head over to www.patreon.com/Green Suiters podcast to find out how. Before getting into this episode, we'd like to thank the following new patrons for joining our growing podcast community: Matt Hale and Adam Liz. Thank you for your support. Now, on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another, our fifth. Is that what I said? I can't really hear
welcome back.
I can't really hear myself.
Oh.
Welcome back to yet another community episode, our fifth community episode here on the Green Suiters podcast. In these episodes, we like to opine the community. We like to solicit feedback. See that? I'm using my college degree, guys. Big words.
Wow.
You don't have it yet.
We go to our Instagram, we go to YouTube, we go to our website. We go all over the place. And we say, hey, do you want to get your question read on the air on one of our episodes? And we go to Patreon. I totally forgot about that. We go to Patreon too.
Yeah, that's not really important. Patreon.
We ask them to submit their questions, comments, concerns, complaints, and ideas in the hopes that maybe it gets put in a community episode. And luckily enough, we have selected a few questions out of the many that we have.
Some good ones.
But before we get to the community episode, Jason has some admin for our giveaway for our eunuch clamps. For this
Eunuch.
month. Yeah.
The eunuch clamps.
Eunuch.
I think that's a marketing error there.
Let's not get started on
there's-
clamps again.
There's actually no clamping mechanism. That's why they call it a eunuch clamp. It's just like it's just a rod. That's it.
Ooh, you said rod.
So, start this out. Big thanks to Bessie Tools North America for sponsoring February's giveaway.
Woo!
This month, this will be the last episode of February. So will be your last attempt or last chance to enter this said giveaway. And the prize for the month of February to one lucky winner who is located in the United States or Canada, to exclude Alaska and Hawaii, sorry, is a set of uni clamps. So if you want your chance to be the lucky winner of said uni clamps, you need to go to greensuiterspodcast.com and click, excuse me, I'm dying over here, and click on the giveaway tab, giveaway thingy in the menu, and fill out the form, and you're entered to win.
And look, and we're in the middle of February as we're recording this, and we already have 52 entries
Ooh, wow. It gets more
in the
and more every
giveaway.
month.
So
And 50 of them are mine.
that's right.
Yep.
It's just
And
all
2 are
different
mine.
different variations of how to spell Brian Sedgley. There's like a Ryan Sedgley. There's
Schmeyen Redgley.
Briar.
a Rian.
Brian. Brienne.
Sedgleek.
Sedgleek.
Yeah.
Sledgley.
That's right. So yeah, get up on that free giveaway. It doesn't cost you anything. That information you give us, it doesn't go anywhere. We don't use it for anything. It's as soon as the February giveaway is over, I delete everything and it starts over for March.
Except for applying for home loans. We do use it for that.
We get
And I
Lambos
did
to
just
pay for 'em.
get pre-approved for one. So if that hit anybody's credit report, I apologize.
But having said that, gentlemen, are you ready to get started
I am
with
ready.
these questions?
C.
All right. As rulings dictate, we start with our patrons first. And today we're going to start with Jody Spradley, again, one of our patrons. If you want to get priority to having your questions read on the air, one of the perks of being a patron is to have your questions read on our community episodes.
And you
So-
get my holiday calendar.
Ooh. I'm still stuck on July from last year, Jason.
Sorry, Ben. You've never seen it.
Mm.
You need to become a patron.
So Jody asks, okay, why when screwing down pocket... Jeez, gentlemen, we're trying to do a podcast
Sorry,
here.
we're
I can't help it.
We can't have all these gigglies and all this other stuff going on.
I'm sorry. I'm reading about oval nuts.
Oh my
I need you
God.
guys to lock it up. Okay.
Lock it up.
My computer keeps saying I need to restart, so hopefully I don't get cut off.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I just keep saying no to it, but
No, you'll be good. Just keep saying no.
All right.
I'm sorry,
Jody
Ben.
asks.
Yeah, Ben,
Sorry.
go ahead.
He says, okay, why when screwing down pocket screws will some just spin and not really tighten? He says it happens with his Castle and his Craig. I assume that means the screw is not biting like it should. Is there a fix? Do I just try another screw? Is there anything else? Thanks. So there are two things could be going on. One of which is highly likely, which is that if this typically only happens when you're screwing into plywood, and whatever it is, whatever adjacent edge that you're trying to screw that pocket hole into has a void inside one of the plies. And then the other thing that could be going wrong, especially if you're using the Castle, maybe if you picked the wrong drill bit, the pilot hole that you're trying to drill through is too wide for the gullets on your screw. And then to fix it would just be to replunge or recut that pocket hole to the left or right if you can. 2 to 3 inches. Typically voids are about 1.5 inches in most cases, again, depending on the quality of the plywood that you have. But yeah, that it definitely sucks. If you're using 3/4 material, make sure you're using 1.25 inch screws when going through pocket holes. And then other than that, use domino connectors.
Yeah. You want me to go?
yes.
Your torque setting is too high on your drill. You're stripping them.
Stripping out the material. That's good.
Yep.
I haven't thought of that one.
Anytime I'm doing pocket holes, I have a tendency. I think I go on the really, really light side sometimes to where they don't even go all the way in, and I adjust from there. I'd rather be too low than
Yeah.
too high. As soon as you
Yeah.
strip it, it's done. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Torque settings just it's too high. You're drilling too aggressively. Start low and work your way up till you find that perfect happy medium.
You got anything for that one, Sedge?
No, I don't. You guys covered everything I probably would have mentioned anyhow. I was going to mention that the torque, start light and then adjust.
Yep.
Because once you're stripped out, it's over.
Yeah, you can't. There's no recovery from that.
Yeah. And
If you strip it, you rip it,
Dip it.
no.
dip it.
Hey,
You nip it.
but there's also, Ben, I don't know if you said this. God, my memory's shot tonight. I when I used to use pocket hole screws, I always use the washer heads.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because some people don't use the washer
Gives
heads.
you a bigger bite.
It gives you got to have that
Yeah.
flat spot to pull it in.
Yeah. You get
A
more
regular
surface
like
tension.
bugle point won't do it.
Yeah.
So use the right screw.
Hey,
If he's using the Castle, he should be using the correct screws because it comes with
Yeah.
Packet
nice
200 or
ones.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fancy ones. All right, Jason.
you want me to
Yep.
go next, huh?
Yep.
This is from one of our patrons, Mr. Steve Ladorola.
Iadarola.
Ladorola.
It's an I, not an L. Iadarola.
It looks like an L.
It does look like an L.
Well,
Sorry.
L's and I's look the same in Excel. So
Are you sure it's Eladora? I feel like it's
I'm-
Ladorola.
I'm positive that it's Iadarola.
I know him as Steve. So Steve asks, I'm starting to build out my first small basement woodworking enthusiast shop. Regarding shop layout and design, knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time to when you were starting out with woodworking and setting up your first shop, what tips, advice would you give yourself regarding shop layout, design, and efficiency? Because I know you will want to know how I intend to use the shop. In the past, I've made a few pieces of furniture, some small jewelry boxes, and an acoustic guitar. My intention for this small shop is to be able to make all of the casework for the shop, a copy of Phil Lowe's workbench, a bunch of furniture for the house, all the cabinets for my kitchen remodel, and I would eventually like to start building more guitars. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work. So great question. And it looks like we lost Sedge.
Yeah.
Okay. So he might be restarting his computer. It's okay. So shop layout. If I had to go back in time, there's really, I don't think there's like a good answer to be like, oh, this is what you need to do, right? Because it seems to me like, yeah, you've done only a few things in the past, but you intend on doing a very wide variety of things in the future. Just based on you want to do a lot of cabinetry and you want to build a lot of furniture. So that's kind of a big gap there. What I would say is you have to look at it from how do you plan on starting a project? And when I say starting a project, I mean going back to the very first task of bringing lumber into the shop. And from there, that's where you need to start making your decisions, right? So if you know, okay, this is my entry door, I'm going to be coming in with my lumber here, and I'm going to be storing it in this location. From this location, I'm going to need to go to, whatever, the miter saw or the assembly table, or think of it in terms of a sequence and let that help dictate how you're going to set up your shop in terms of layout and efficiency, if we're talking about that specifically. Because what you don't want is you don't want to just blindly start throwing things all over the place and then come to find out later on that it's just not the way that you work. But the caveat to that is if you're starting to get more serious about it, what you want and the way you like things laid out is going to change dramatically because you're going to experience things that become a problem. So I think for anybody, a really good starting place is just to think about how you intend on going from the start of a project all the way to the end of a project. And then the other advice, group items as much as you can by the task. So if you have a joiner and planer, it makes sense to have the joiner and planer next to each other. If you have an assembly table, it makes sense to have your hand tools, your clamps. If you're using a trim router, that's probably where you're going to use that as opposed to having your trim router and your router table, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So group like items together and think about the process from start to finish. That's where I would start, but just understand that things are definitely going to change very rapidly.
And having said that, in the beginning of you kind of reinvigorating your shop layout, don't put yourself in a corner, meaning don't build certain things like shop cabinets or whatever that you can't move around or shift around, or it would be hard for you to change things because, as Jason knows, as I know, your shop layout is kind of like a living thing and it has a tendency to evolve over time. Obviously, if you don't care about, having to rip stuff out or break things down, as you grow and evolve and you start to make different things, or your palette is kind of growing, that your shop layout is likely going to change until you kind of find yourself in a rhythm, or you're making kind of the same style things and your layout can kind of plant its roots, so to say.
Yeah. I know it's funny. So when I first started, actually a recommendation is when you first start, I think having things be mobile is really, really important because you're going to move things a lot. Even if your shop is permanently set up, like you think like, oh, I don't need to move stuff. Like I'm not pulling a car into here. This isn't my basement. I don't have to move anything. Make it mobile. Because when that time comes where you're like, man, if only this was over here instead of here, or man, I really didn't put this in a good place and I need to move this to be able to accomplish this task. The fact that the things are mobile will allow you to quickly move things. And it might give you, a really good idea of how you could lay something out in the future. And I wanted to bring that up because when I first started this, I was in, a standard 2-car garage, just like anybody else. I had very minimal tools, but everything was mobile because if I wanted to do any woodworking, I back then it was when I was really into bass fishing. I had to pull my bass boat out of the garage and then move everything to the spot where I wanted to do it. And then at the end of the day, because I didn't want to leave my boat outside, I had to move everything back out of the way and set it up. And I can't tell you how many times, I set up my shop and it was completely different each time. It was like, oh, I already have something right here. Let me move my table saw over to this spot, or the joiner and planer. And it was just all that learning experience. Then I got a shop where I could have a little bit more space and dedicated. And then I kind of started to, all right, I don't necessarily need things to be so mobile, but I'm going to place these things here. And then I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense. And so I started to change things up as I started to increase my skills, because I had new skill sets that allowed me to do other things. And then that's when I started to learn, coming into a shop, it's very important to have a good, idea of just where I'm going to be going from the start of a project.
It all depends on the size of the shop, of course, but these are things I would consider. Knowing what I know now, because I made a lot of mistakes. And depends on how much you want to spend. But if you're looking to buy something like a table saw, you got to start with the basics, because you got to mill your wood, table saw, joint, a planer. And if you can save if you don't need it, certain things right away, save your money so you can buy something of quality. I know it's hard to do that, because I'll use this for an instance, for an example. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. I didn't even have 2 sticks to rub together when I first got started. And I had to buy a jigsaw because I had to cut some curves and something. And I went and bought this brand called Craftsman. And this thing was the biggest piece of junk. But guess what? It got me through that project. But then I had to buy another jigsaw. And at that time, Festool wasn't in the States. So I bought a Bosch. And boy, that was a huge jump. And the quality of my work went up. And then I eventually had that Bosch for many, 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 many years of barrel grip. But then I bought the Festool, and I haven't looked back. But it's really tough to go through that, because some people don't have the wallet to buy the highest of quality. So just do a little more research, but I would start with those 3 machines, if those are the machines, and then I would build a really high quality workbench. That's for sure. I'm looking around my shop. I mean, you guys know I love my drill press. That's one of the first things I bought when I came to Indiana, because Festool doesn't have a drill press, and I need that. But just, and I tell people sometimes, hey, I'm looking to buy this from Festool, and I always say, no, that's the wrong decision. Save your money and buy this. And when I say buy this, it's, should I buy this? No, wait, save some money. You don't need it right away. Buy this.
Yeah.
Okay. Like someone will come up to me and say, hey, I'm looking for another rail. Which one should I get? And I'll go, get the 3000 rail.
Yeah.
Well, what about the other one? No, you'll go be kicking yourself. Buy the 3000 rail. Don't buy the 8-inch. That's ridiculous. Save a few extra bucks and buy the 3000, because you'll regret it in the long run.
Yeah. Don't settle.
Don't settle.
Yeah.
But that's tough sometimes. I mean,
and especially with issues with availability at the moment.
And penny wise and pound foolish sometimes. But I had to start, and I always use that jigsaw as an example. And when somebody belittles that brand, sometimes I just look at them and I go, you don't know where some people started, and that brand got me through where I needed to be. It got me through that build that I needed, and it's tough sometimes.
I think that's where most people start out is with that lower brand, or the big box brand, whatever brands are in the big box stores, because that's what's closest for most people, and that's what's people are more can more identify with.
And this is the other thing I see too, that it upsets me, but I'm okay with it, because, and I'll say this in the nicest way I can. When somebody says, oh, Sedge, you got all kinds of nice stuff in your shop, you have no idea the dues I paid. Okay. And you can go pound sand. Okay, because I earned everything and I bought what I bought.
Mm-hmm.
You guys follow me? You know, I sometimes, Jason, I see you get hacked because you have a lot of Festool. Bite me, man. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You bought right. And yeah, I work for Festool, but people don't know you didn't start with Festool. You didn't start.
Oh, I absolutely did.
You've.
I'm a millionaire.
No, but
that's what everybody thinks.
no. But you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
You did your research. You bought correctly, but people just think I own all Festool. No, for all these years, I wasted so much money, but I needed to start where I needed to start.
Yeah.
So I'll put it like that. Maybe I just lamented too much on that. Hopefully that helps this person.
Yeah.
Make that decision on.
You're up next, my good man.
Oh, I am? Okay. Yep.
Yep.
I
Yes,
have a question from a patron.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Nick Hall. And his question is this. It's kind of long. It says, Sedge stated that he made his career in frameless rope. I did. That's all I built. And it seems like all the green suiters, you two guys, are in agreement with this and a personal preference. What was your way of going about not showing fasteners on the last side panel? In other words, how do you finish an end panel is how I take this. Given it wasn't butted up against the wall. Still use screws and just veneer it? Could. Rabbets and dados? Maybe. Jason hinted about several ways to cover up in his guide to frameless cabinets video. I just want to see what those several ways are. Okay, so this is the way I would do it if I had an end run and that cabinet needed to be finished off. Several ways you can use back then. You could use some screws. Not screws. I'm so sorry. You could join them, yes, with rabbets and dados, glue it up. And for me, I wouldn't waste my time with that. I've always built frameless cabinets with basically two screws or two crown staples and 3 screws, okay, on every butt joint. Then you could re-veneer it, which is really easy. I've done a lot of that. But then applied molding. And that's a video that I'm going to be working on because Big D asked me that question the other day. And applied molding is really easy. So I would make molding that replicated my door. So if I had an OG pattern, I'd make a molding. I'd have it cut and I would just apply it and finish it off the same on that end panel because I knew that was my end run. The other way is easy too. Make a full end panel with that and compensate your run with that extra 3/4 or 1/2 inch end panel that you apply.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take that with you and apply it on the job site, that end panel, and it's just 2 or 3 screws from inside. No one sees that. A fast cap, make sure the grain's running on the fast cap, cover up cap, the same way, and it's invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So veneer, applied molding, or a full end panel. That's how I would finish them. And I have seen hack jobs in kitchens in South Florida where they just put, you ready for this? Edge banding to cover it up. And
Wow.
High-end kitchens.
Better
it was
not poke it.
horrible. Oh, no, it's unbelievable. And, up against the wall, they would actually bend the edge banding so instead of scribing it. It was
Jeez.
horrible. And they got away with it.
No.
It was
most homeowners.
it was
are none the
disgusting.
wiser.
Yeah,
But that's
they're just
that's the
looking at
way.
big picture.
Yeah. Hey, can I just add to this a little bit? I got a question right before I came on Instagram. I'm not going to mention the name, but it was kind of cool because he sounded a little bummed out because I think somebody was hacking him on some forum or something. He said, he goes, I use hardwood banding on frameless cabinets. Somebody says that's called a face frame.
No, it's
I got
not.
the same message.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's funny because why would somebody critique him? I just told him to say you use hardwood edge banding and you use glue because you hate hot melt.
It's the same thing.
This is what's funny about it because I was the same way you were. I was like, that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. If there's not a face frame on the cabinet, it is a frameless cabinet.
Yes.
But this individual was saying, if you were to use hardwood edge banding, you have now put a frame on it. It is no longer frameless. That makes no sense, because here's the real kicker.
None.
The hardwood edge banding that I buy from Edgeco, if I buy 1 millimeter maple, guess what? That's hardwood edge banding. It's the same as me cutting it and putting it on there myself.
Uh-huh.
Still frameless.
Mhm.
That's like the most ignorant thing from somebody who's
And it-
apparently, an expert in their field. And I told him, I was like, dude, don't worry about it. That guy doesn't know what the
Don't-
heck he's talking about.
Yeah, what an idiot, the guy who's critiquing him. Uh,
It's not
So, I
face
just-
frame, it's
so-
edge banding.
yeah, it's weird, man. Nick, that's a really good question, because I'm getting ready to do a video with Big D on it, because he said, "Hey, how do I hide the screws on the panel?" Because he's getting ready to build something for his house. So it's a great question, very common.
Um,
Add to that, Jason.
Yeah, so I'll add a couple of options if you didn't want to use an end panel. I think typically some sort of end panel or some sort of decorative molding, like Sedge was talking about, is pretty commonly practiced. I mean, I can walk through my kitchen and see the same thing. But if you didn't want to, you would just have to make that last piece attach slightly differently. And one thing you could do is you could use pocket screws from the top and the bottom. Neither one of those are going to be visible. He already hit on the rabbets and dados. You could do that. You could also, if you have a domino, you could use dominoes and just clamp up dominoes and glue, and then you'd have a nice clean edge. And then you could also use the veneer method, whether it's laminating, a thin material like actual veneer, or in the case for my vanity that I did, I actually built the box construction the standard way, like Sed just talking about, using screws and crown staples. And then I actually wanted the end piece to be white oak because it was visible. So I just used the same exact panel that I used for the doors and place it over on the side and just laminated it to the plywood. And it worked great. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you really wanted to, you could just glue it, but it would depend on what kind of material you're using. I would want to reinforce it somehow. So that's why I mentioned biscuits, dominoes, dowels, something for that end if you just wanted a straight, clean panel. Ben, do you have anything to add?
You could add connectors too, domino connectors, couldn't you?
Connectors. Hello. That's
Hello.
two. That's twice. We've said connectors. Connectors. You don't have anything to add, Benjamin?
No, I think you guys covered it.
Well, then you're up.
All right. So mine comes from Instagram from Mancini Woodworking. And he asks, what is the best advice you can give someone who is trying to make a name for themselves in their area to be able to sell products? So, and this is just the way that it's worded, make a name for themselves in their area, meaning like their physical location, or their area, meaning like their area of expertise. So one's talking about like an industrial, or not industrial, but like a branding, making a name for themselves, and then again, just making themselves known to other people. So the best way that you can make a name for yourself, and this may seem kind of redundant, is to be yourself. When it comes to branding and marketing and just making yourself and your product stand out, the best way that you can do that is just be an individual that people can relate to. When I read this question, the very first thing that I thought of was, it doesn't matter what products you're selling or what service you're offering. The one thing that you can directly control is how you interact with other people. If you have clients, or if you have potential clients, like, treat them nicely. One thing that I had learned a long time ago is when you're interacting with a client or a customer, you want to talk to them, treat them the way that you would want someone else speaking to someone that you loved, right? If it was like your sister, like how would you want someone to speak to your sibling? How would you want someone to speak to your wife? How would you want someone to speak to your spouse? So just treat people nicely, and just based off of our limited interactions with Mancini Woodwork, I mean, I don't think that he would have a problem being kind to other people. But even as a
I don't
tinker,
know about that.
even as a tinker,
I met him once.
kind of an a-hole.
they're a bit antisocial, but yeah, I mean, I think that my brain's kind of going in a whole lot of different directions right now with this one.
Marketers.
I mean, we are. I mean, my head goes in so many different directions with this question, because to me it's kind of vague. If you're talking about making a name for your products, you want to look at what everyone else is doing and then think to yourself, okay, is there too much of this in the market already? Is it saturated? Which in most cases it probably is. And so if it is saturated, don't let that or dissuade you from doing it. Just take what is popular and then think, how can I make this a little bit different? Not a whole lot different, a little bit different. Just put a small spin on it. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's a feature. People tend to not gravitate towards things that are 100% completely brand new. But if you take a core idea that is widely familiar with other people and you just change it a little bit, then you have a greater tendency to have success, because it's just like what I know, but it's a little bit different to make me feel like it's new. And then if you're, we're in the digital age, like you need to start making content. Like it's very easy to do. I think a lot of people probably overthink the initial effort of doing it. Maybe they overthink it, but you just got to start making content, and eventually people are going to start to see your content and they're going to like you for you, not necessarily what it is exactly that you're doing. They just like you as, like you as a person. And then you're going to start to kind of develop a ring of people around you. And that's how you build a community, What do you guys got?
You or me, Sedge?
You.
So, just so we don't stick on this one too long, 3 things. One, Ben already mentioned it. Make it a very positive customer experience, because people talk when they have positive experiences, and they talk to the people that they know, and they talk very openly about it. 2, show your client and prove to your client, give them a reason why you should be the person to serve them, right? Why you as the business are the right people for the customer. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. How you go about your consultations, being confident, being prepared when you go meet with a customer. All of those things are going to help you, because that is also going to give you a positive customer experience. It'll be one thing for a person to say, oh, he was really nice and he treated me really well, but he also came very prepared and really knew what he was doing. And then that leads me to the third: build as many things for people in your area as you can. Because the more people that you have built things for early on, the more people you have to talk about you and talk about how prepared you were and how good of an experience they had. How quality the piece of furniture was, because they're going to have those friends over to their house, and those people are going to get to see the things that you did, and they're going to get to have candid conversations with their friends that had a positive experience. Once those 3 things kind of click, that's when you'll start getting reached out to without you even having to market anything at all. And then that's when you can really start picking and choosing what it is that you do. And a whole slew of other things comes from that, changes in pricing and longer wait times. And it's pretty incredible how getting into the right group of people can drastically change things, but it has to start somewhere, and you have to start getting those things out there and creating those good experiences. Sedge?
Treat people the way you want to be treated. Build your butt off and act professionally. And I really like what you guys both said: be yourself, be prepared. It'll happen, but you got to build. And if you don't want to build it, and you don't like what you're building, learn to like what you're building, because they're paying the money. If you find somebody that is a pain in the butt, but they're giving you the coin you receive, you suck it up and you build for them, because you will learn from that experience and learn from everything. Don't refuse work in the beginning, because you'll say, oh man, I can't build that. Bull, build it. Find a way, reach out to people. The community's huge. If you don't know it, somebody does. It's really easy. There was times I said, Mikey and I walked out of a house. He goes, we know how to do that. I went, hell no. But guess what? We had several ways to find out. We worked in a really cool community of cabinet shops, granite countertops, electricians, plumbers. We found ways of doing it. Nowadays, it's easy. You got there's so many great woodworking resources out there. I'll tell you one right now. This is Ed, right? Mancini.
Mhm.
Is that his name? Ed.
Mhm.
Ed. Go to WoodWeb. Period. The archive on there is awesome. There's hundreds of threads on the question you need answered. It's a wonderful resource. And that'll probably be my question coming up when I have a choice, because I have some great resources on the web that a lot of people don't know about that are great, and a few that stay away from. But so it's just I want to say it's easy. Just be yourself, and just, Jason, I like what you said, man, because I was going to say it. Be prepared and create that you said go in with confidence, you know, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people, it's easy to do. Just, I don't want to say, I always hated that expression when somebody says fake it until you make it. That's a bunch of bull, because I could sniff out a fake a mile away when someone's in my house. Right. But be confident and say, I don't know, but I know I can do it.
Yeah.
And that customer will sense it. Just, you know, just like, I don't want to say go in stiff, don't be rigid or anything. Go in kind of like, have a little bit of confidence, not cocky, but just treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's how I started this. I'm done lamenting, but it's you know, and there's sometimes, you know, people would ask, well, boy, that seems like a little high. I go, and I used to joke around. I go, do I look hungry? And I go, I got to feed a family, right? Jokingly about it, but I go, you're gonna get and when you say be prepared, because they may be shopping, you know, and I'm talking about a kitchen and cabinetry. I go, are you looking for a price around what you see at Home Cheapo and Schlo's? Because you're not gonna get that. You're gonna get a really reputable couple of guys going in and building something for you, and we're gonna stand behind that product for a long, long time. So that's the kind of a little bit of the confidence I had going into something. But I was, you know, I like talking to people and, you know, tell them why you are different from somebody else that may be bidding on a piece of furniture for their house, if that's what you're looking to do.
Mhm.
So that's, I don't know. Sometimes it's tough to talk about it because it's,
I mean, if you go into something and you're not confident, it's not creating that positive experience. Because if I have somebody coming to my house to do some kind of work that I don't
You
want to
gotta go in
do,
with
and
that
they don't seem confident, they don't seem prepared, it's not a good experience. I'm like, bye. You're supposed to be the expert in this.
What if somebody comes to your house? This happened here in Indiana. Someone comes to your house, right? And he's going to work on your roof. You know what he asked me? You get an extension ladder I can borrow? I just looked at him and go, get off my property now.
It happens to me all the time.
Oh my God, man.
And I said, get off my property now. You're late. You're late. Yeah. You get an extension ladder? I don't have them. You want them on your roof? You want them on your roof? No.
Seems totally normal to me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a new saying. Like a roofer without a ladder.
Yeah, I know. It blew me away.
Wow. Man.
So my next one, we missed a Patreon one from Mike, so I'll go ahead and cover that one. We talked about this. My answer is not going to change, but I'm going to read it anyway. So Mike Leiden, one of our patrons, says, how often do you clean or change the blades and knives in your equipment? Give the cast iron a little love, change bags, filters, sharpen chisels. And then he says, I know Jason is going to say when it's needed, but do you have a schedule for it? I do it about once a month in between projects. So, Mike, my answer is this. Blades and knives when it's needed. Cast iron when it's needed. Change bags and filters when it's so. My answer doesn't really change. I don't have a schedule for it. I probably should, to be completely honest with you. But at the same time, I look at it as a waste of time if it's not needed. The only one that I would really like, chisels, right? When would I sharpen chisels? Well, whenever I take them up to Sedge's house so he can sharpen them for me.
Oh, that ain't right. That ain't right.
That's one. But when they're dull, when they're not cutting the way I want them to, that's when I would do it. But some might argue that, well, at that point, it's too late. So With cast iron, though, the one thing I will say about cast iron is I probably do that more than anything, just because as soon as something starts to stick and not slide the way that I like it, I will add some sort, whether it's glide coat, or some similar product to that, or wax, or whatever the case is. But other than that, no, I don't have a schedule. I don't say, okay, the third Friday, I just don't have a schedule for anything right now, really. I'm going to do maintenance because, if I'm working on something else, that time could be very valuable doing something different. Sedge, I want you to go last on this one because I feel like you do have a
Got a
schedule. Ben?
zinger. I got a zinger coming. Go ahead, Ben.
I'm with Jason. I'm not in a production line, and so I don't have the ability to forecast like how long tools have been used over a certain period of elapsed time. If I'm cutting on the Capex and my quality cuts are not what I want them to be, then it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll just clean the blade real quick. Or it's like, man, it's been a while since I've cleaned this. I should probably go look at it. I think that at minimum you could probably do that, like schedule yourself weekly to check certain things. If you're looking to get some kind of a routine maintenance going, just schedule when you look at things and just rotate it out. You're not looking at everything every week, but you just kind of offset everything. Maybe the first week of every month, you're checking your table saw blade. The second week of every month, you're checking your miter saw blade. The third week of every month, you're checking your domino bits. Like whatever it is, if that's the schedule that you want to be on. But I'm with Jason. I just do it as it's needed. I'm the only one using my tools. I have a very good idea of how much or how often tools have been used. And just like Jason, like if something gets dull, you just throw it away and go buy a new one. Or you reach out to a company and you're like, hey, send me a brand new table saw because the blade on this one's dull. Like,
yep.
Come on.
The blade on my table saw is dull. I need a whole new table saw. Please send it. My bags are full on the dust collector. I need a new one.
Yeah. That's how we do it.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Go ahead, Sedge.
Okay. I am an enthusiast now. I'm not a pro anymore. I'm not the only person I build for is Marianne. So I'm going to go back to that question because I used to get it asked regularly when people would come into my shop and say, man, that tabletop is really pristine. What do you treat it with? I go, I use it every single day. Okay. And to answer a question, I had a regular maintenance schedule, but it wasn't mine. It was my shop, and he'd come in and pull my blades every 2 weeks because I was using them every day, all day long. Yeah, so in a pro shop, you have a schedule, but it's maintained by your sharpener. You say, you need any bit sharpen? Yeah, this one's dull. Sharpen this rail and style set, bada, bada, bing. But here in my shop, I don't have any cast iron on my table saw because I have a CS70. Gotcha. It's an aluminum top, and I never have to treat it. It's just
for the listeners. I'm flipping Sedge off right now.
Okay,
we'll put it on Instagram.
Hey Mike, I'm reaching out for you because you asked the question. I know you just got a T8 sharpener, and I know you're sharpening fool. Chisels are easy. When you are starting to struggle pairing something, just put it on your T8, your Tormac. Just when needed is the right, correct answer. You don't want to over sharpen stuff all the time because you want to build stuff. You don't want to sharpen. You don't want to clean. But I look around my shop every once in a while and I'll say, oh yeah, look at that lathe deck. That's not that needs to be taken care of. So that's the cast iron I have in my shop, or my scroll saw that needs to be maintained. But I maintained that 2 years ago. I've been cutting on it to make templates and stuff, and it's just I treat everything with Renaissance wax that has cast iron, and that holds up better than anything that I've ever used. It's you know what I mean, guys? Renaissance wax. It's that little can, and that stuff just doesn't dull. It's awesome. And I know there's all kinds of product out there, but you stick with what works for you. So that's my answer. Good question though, because it's a very common question amongst a lot of people.
Well, you are up.
Oh, me?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, hot dog. Okay, here's one that's really cool because a lot of people ask me this question. It just happens to be by Patrick.
Gosh.
I can't believe you chose
Leather.
this one.
I know, but Michelle's going to be with us at Workbench Con, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's the smart one. Let's see. She's
Yeah.
the smart one. Okay. Hey, what kind of footwear do you wear in the shop, and what brand of work boot do you like? Okay, that's easy for me because a lot of people say, "Hey, does Festool make your sneakers?" No, they're not sneakers. They're kind of like a hybrid. They are, and I always wear steel toe. This one's an aluminum toe. It's a hybrid boot or shoe. Looks like an athletic shoe, a sneaker, but it's not. And it's just really comfortable. I always like a thicker sole because I'm on concrete all day long or a hard surface. But there's a reason I like steel toes. It's because have you ever installed cabinets and toe kicks when you're adjusting?
Mhm.
Okay, that is the perfect adjustment hammer, that steel toe. You can kick it right into place and do all kinds of adjustments. Now, there's a caveat to that. When you're out doing an install and you forget to put your boots on and you go to kick that toe kick, oh my God, you realize, oop, should have put my boots on. And then there's another boot that I've been wearing when I do trade shows. It's also steel toe and it's wonderful. And it's the most comfortable shoe to wear on concrete. The brand is Keen. But I don't like to wear tall ankle boots. I like a low cut. And these Keens, man, are like, oh, they're so comfortable. So I don't know the exact model, but they're steel toe, and I tried them out. Started 2 years ago, and that's what I wear at trade shows because I'm around machinery, tools all day long. And Carrie, you guys ever drop a piece of plywood on your toes?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's a cruncher, and that can
awful.
happen, and it doesn't have to be a full sheet. And that's why I will always recommend steel toe in the shop. So
Hey,
that's what I
before-
wear. And oh, by the way,
You didn't share
Patrick,
the shoe.
the brand is Red Wing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. Yeah, they're Festool colors, but just super comfortable and a thicker sole. I like Red Wing. I've worn Red
I've-
Wing most of my life.
I've been meaning to go and check out a pair of those because I'll wait till it's my turn to answer. But Ben,
I think it's your
No,
turn,
what-
Jason.
it's your turn to answer.
Oh,
the
for
question.
shoes. For shoes.
If this is your first podcast, press 1 now.
I wear whatever's closest to my hands to grab. Like I sometimes I wear my house slippers, sometimes I wear slip-ons, sometimes I wear my hiking boots. Like it's everything. That's what I wear.
And Patrick knew that you were going to say that. That's why he asked that question.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, this young buck doesn't know anything about good workwear."
If I'm not doing anything that's gonna involve me dropping heavy objects on my feet, like why wear something uncomfortable? You know?
So for me, it's a very simple answer. It's whatever company on Instagram sends me their shoes.
Oh my God.
You know, I mean, that seems to be the popular thing these days.
Whoever my sponsor is for today's post.
Exactly. Whatever shoe company is the sponsor for that individual Instagram reel. That's what it seems like nowadays. I mean, there's like 4 companies that's just nonstop all the time. And I have no doubt that some of these are extremely comfortable. It just gets kind of old. For me, when it comes to boots, I don't go out and buy a lot of like new clothes. I'm very simple when it comes to that. And for the shoes, I've been wearing Doc Martens actually for years. I like them. I've got 2 different pairs. I got a slip-on pair and I've got a lace-up pair. They're very, very durable. The last pair I had, I think, lasted me 11 years.
Do they have steel toes?
They do have steel toes. The ones I currently wear do not.
Cool.
I do periodically, like when my running shoes are no good for running anymore and just like regular everyday wear. Because like my running shoes, I try not to wear them anytime other than when I'm running to get the longest life out of them. So when I get a new pair of running shoes, I'll take the previous pair and sometimes I'll wear those in the shop, which is why I've been meaning to go look at those Red Wing shoes, because I would really like to have something like that, especially in the summer, because as soon as I'm wearing shorts or something in the shop, I'm no longer wearing the boots. So
Yeah.
that's why I'd kind of like to have, a nice, comfortable pair with some steel toes.
It's one more comment on that, because I've been standing on concrete my whole life and every profession I've been in. And when I was in college and I was working on a line in a restaurant as a chef, this old timer came up to me and said, "You're wearing sneakers, huh?" And I go, "Yeah." And I go, "But they're Nikes." And he goes, "I don't care." He goes, "If you're going to work and you're going to be in a trade your whole life, you go get a pair of boots." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "Because of the thicker sole." He goes, "Don't shortchange yourself. You're on concrete. You will break down." And a lot of people I know who have back problems, they neglected proper footwear in their trade. It's just like people balk sometimes in flooring about knee pads. I don't care what it costs. A good pair of knee pads is worth it. Don't shortchange yourself on workwear. Okay, so that's what maybe that's a little bit more advice I should have given, but I just don't shortchange yourself on footwear. It's so important because it's your back.
Yeah. That's why it's important for me, because I already have back issues. Benjamin, it's your question.
Hang on, I got to make this post real quick.
You got to make a post real quick.
Gotta make
Go
a
ahead,
post.
go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I'll go ahead and do
Clip.
I'm going to go ahead and do my question next.
Do it.
And then Ben can come back to his. So my third one, I'm excited about this one. It's really hard for me to pick questions this week because there's like 4 others that I really want to talk about. But this one is from Instagram, and it is from at Fohric, Foheric. He says, "What expensive, rarely used tool do you have that you love to use?" Mine is a Bloom Eco Drill. That is his answer. I'm gonna give 2. One of which we talked about before when we were talking about favorite festival tools, and I just used it a couple days ago again, and I absolutely love it. It is very expensive, and I rarely use it, but man, is it fun! And that is the Festool Conturo edge banding machine. The other item that I have is the True Position Tools cabinet hardware jig, and I included that because the price tag on that's like $290, and they do have some Chinese knockoffs. Doesn't mean that they're as good, that you can get offline for like $20 on Amazon. But I'll tell you what, that thing, it's not used a lot. It's only used when I'm doing cabinetry related stuff. So for me, it's fairly often. Every time I use it, I'm just so glad that I have it. It makes installing cabinet hardware so effortless. We recently added pulls. Sedge, I think you've seen them. We added the pulls and everything to all the cabinet doors finally because they were never installed.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and in a matter of, 20 minutes, I had all of my pulls drilled out and installed, my wife and I together. I just went around, set it up for each drawer size and door size, drilled all the holes real quick. While I was doing that, she was putting in this stuff. And then when I got done, I helped her, and we were done in like 20 minutes, the entire kitchen. And it was dead on accurate every single time. So kind of pricey for what it is, sure. But man, is it so nice to have. That's my answer.
Ben, you're up.
Oh, until recently, mine's been my Sony video camera. Because I took a year sabbatical off YouTube.
Yep. That is a tool in our field, I guess.
But it's not. Hopefully, it's not going to be as rarely used. I think that the tools that I have, I use them all regularly. I primarily only use sheet goods. I would say that my most rarely used tool at the moment is probably my my thickness planer. I have the DeWalt 735 because I use mainly sheet goods on most of my projects these days. So it's been sitting in a corner for a couple months now since I built Jen's
I know.
door. Go ahead, Sedge.
Did you guys see? I was looking around the shop.
Oh yeah, you've been like the whole time just.
I wasn't prepared for this one, and I apologize. I have a lot of tools, so I was thinking maybe I should talk about I should talk about my CS70 because I don't turn it on a lot, and I rarely use it, but it's there when I need it.
And it's
Actually,
always covered in dust.
Okay,
I do have a rarely used tool, and it's hatred for Sedge. That's the tool.
No, Sedge is the tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sedge's tool. There we go.
Okay, I bought something 2 years ago. I used it, and it was the best handsaw I've ever used. I use it occasionally now when I need to, and that's my Bad Axe tenon saw. It's unbelievable. Jason, have you ever seen it? It's hanging underneath my vise on my bench. Have I ever broken
Yes.
that out? It's right there in plain view.
I
You
think
can pick the handle. You can pick even all the saw nuts on it, the backing. But this gentleman who builds these saws, I think up in Minnesota, it's called Bad Axe, AXE hand saws. His name's Mark Harrell, and I think he's retired Army. And this guy is unbelievable what he's done with hand saws. And I'll tell everybody, it's worth every single penny. I've used it. I'll have it the rest of my life. I could look around, and I have some Festool here at home that I rarely use, but I have it when I need it.
Mm-hmm.
But I use it day in, day out at work. I got a good deal from work on a Domino XL. Do I use it all the time? No, but when I need it because the 500 I need a longer tenon for the glue laying strength. So
story of our life.
yeah, so I guess that's a great question because it's going to be unbelievable when we're done with this and all week, the rest of the week and this weekend, and I'm on vacation next week until we go to Workbench Con. I'm going to be going, oh, I should have said this as I reach for something, But that's a good question too.
I should have said
Yeah.
hand plane.
Well, you're starting to use it now.
My Lee Nielsen number 4 that I've owned for like 4 years and used 10 times. All right, Ben, let's jump back to you since you so rudely made an Instagram post to appease our audience while we're
Actually,
recording the podcast.
It was a TikTok post. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Oh
snap.
my God, TikTok.
Instagram is automatic. Instagram and Facebook go automatic for me, but I have to click on it for TikTok to post.
Oh, jeez. Life is so rough.
How about Tinder?
We're not.
Are
Gonna
we
talk
on
about that
Tinder?
on the air. We're not going to talk about that on the air.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for the
Okay.
patrons only page.
That's
Mm.
right. The next question comes from Lincoln Woodworks off of Instagram. What has been your favorite project to build, or what do you enjoy building the most? I'm gonna wait because I want to go last. I know that's my question, but I want to go last. So Jason, I'll kick it over to you first because it looks like Sedge is searching fervently for his answer.
So
Okay, no. Where is it on the? The last
the very
one, right?
last
The very
one.
last
It's
one.
very
What has
similar to
been
one
your
of Ed's
favorite
questions.
project to build, or what do you enjoy? Okay, that's a good question too. That's
Was
a
it-
toughie.
What has been your favorite project to build, or what do you
Or-
enjoy building the most? I'm going to answer both of them.
That's
enjoy-
a toughie.
I personally, I really enjoy the process of cabinetry. I do. I don't know why. I never thought I would, but I really do enjoy it. Because there's a lot of intricacies and a lot of new things. It's easy, quote unquote, from a construction standpoint, but there's a lot of cool new things that you get to try all the time because every kitchen is different and every space is different. My favorite project that I've built. I have a few that come to mind. I did a poker table very early on. Love that project. Would love to build another one. Very early on. It was one of my first client builds. The wine credenza with the patterned doors. Really, really loved and enjoyed building that. And then recently, my son's bed. Every time I go in his room, I love looking at it. I think it turned out phenomenal. He loves it. And I think anything that I build for him and when he gets excited, it makes me excited.
You got it.
So, Sedge,
Wow. I think it was that desk for Abraham Lincoln I built.
didn't you build the Resolute desk too? That they use
I
in the White
did.
House?
I did. Yeah. You guys ain't right.
Sedge,
Okay.
what was the going rate for gopher wood back whenever the Ark was built?
Oh God, I can't remember, but Noah had a really good resource.
And good flood insurance.
God, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Good flood insurance too.
Oh yeah.
Like that
Pretty
wasn't
sure his
rigged.
name was God.
Jason, I always say this, but I like what you guys say. It's
I
simple.
don't blame you.
It's
We're
a-
geniuses.
It's a simple process. It's called a freaking box. But the bigger the boxes or the more the boxes you build, and to see people's expressions after you install a kitchen or you do a humongous built-in, that's the appreciation I think you get. And that's what I like to build the most, but the bigger the better, because it really pushes me. And I get two favorite projects. And what's really cool is they were for my home. One was for me and one was for Marianne. And they were simple. They were our, we have two places that we call them our spaces. Jason, you know them. And you know Marianne's room off the mudroom.
Mhm.
You know that little study she has. And then my office, because the office is wall-to-wall cherry cabinetry. And I walk in there every morning and I just like, it's my space. I did all the hardwood floors everywhere in the house, but the built-ins that I've done for my own home, that I think those are the two I appreciate the most. Mary Ann's was funny, and we'll dig up. You and Nicole will love it when Mary Ann shows you the napkin she drew it on. And she goes, "You know what I'm talking about?" It was just like all these little boxes.
Yeah.
And what I created out of that. And someone said, "Hey, did you have a plan for that?" I go, "Plans. I were in my head. You want to see the original plans?" It was Mary Ann's napkin. And I think I really like doing that, or a process like that, because it pushes me and I love that. And now what's nice is these two of what I was doing day in, day out for a long time in my life, I get to appreciate every single daggone day. And when Marianne, I'm finished, and I said this before on the podcast, I love showing off to my wife, and she just freaks out when I do stuff like that, and it's so appreciated. Yeah. So I understand when you said, "Hey, Leo's really," it feels good. You're doing something for your family,
Yeah.
And I never got to see all these things unless I built something else for somebody's house, which I did quite a bit. Mikey
It's
would
way-
like freak out. He goes, "Run out of there," because the other piece is starting to fall apart.
It's way more enjoyable building things for our home that we get to see every day than building it for other people, even though I do miss the reactions of people sometimes. But
You remember when we delivered that beautiful table you built for those folks just north of Dayton? Man, did they freak out. That's a good feeling, huh?
yeah,
I was your apprentice that day and your driver.
you were. And then when the
That
what
was such a funny post that you made.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where would you like
yes,
this?
Mr.
Just
Luthor.
go put it in the truck. Yeah, just put it in the truck. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Luthor.
I loved it all the way until I saw their son smash his
Smash
fork
it, yeah.
into the tabletop.
That was unreal.
Yeah, it was like a Halloween movie. Michael
That was-
Myers
that was-
stabbing somebody.
Run like hell. He scratched it.
Yeah, time to get out of here. All right, Sedge, you, my friend.
It's
Well, who
mine.
did-
I didn't answer.
Yeah, you got to answer.
Is this your first podcast?
Yeah. Hey, everybody
Mr.
gets a
Ben?
coin. Everybody
Well-
gets a coin.
The reason I'm skipping is because no one cares.
Oh, shut up.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
My favorite project to build is my YouTube channel and the podcast.
God, your answers are awful tonight. Where's my brush?
Yeah, man.
How is that a bad answer?
Because that's not a woodworking.
It is. Both
Okay,
of those
fine.
things are literally built around woodworking. So
Great answer, Ben.
thank you.
Was
You're
that really
welcome.
your answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving
You
right
guys are-
along. Whose
You
question?
guys are no fun.
Yeah, it's yours. His favorite thing to build is sys benches because he's built 30 of them.
Oh my God. Hey, but by the way, everybody listening, you should go watch Ben's video on those sys benches. Those are wicked cool.
I've already sold a bunch, so thanks to everyone that bought them.
And plans are
Nice.
available on his website. How many have you sold? Roughly.
17.
Already?
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, I was gonna say, geez, man.
17 plans total have been downloaded. I sold 3 of the sits benches, and the other ones are for the jig,
Oh yeah, the jig. I forgot about that.
which is free.
Well, of course, everybody's gonna be downloading that one.
Yeah.
Free 90 free. All right, Sed, you're up.
Okay. Hey, I got a question from Mr. Mancini at Mancini Woodworking. What would each of you say was the turning point of when woodworking went from a hobby to something more?
That's an easy one
And
for me.
oh no, it's a real easy one for me. I got pissed. 2 reasons: at what I was doing and at myself. Because the turning point was I went to work for a guy out of a sales position I had many years ago, and he had promised me a lot, and I was working on a CNC with him. And this guy was a con artist in Port St. Lucie. I mean, a wicked con artist. And I got taken, and I worked 3 months, but I had a little money saved to fall back on, and I had a young family. And I got ticked off at him because it was just an excuse after an excuse after an excuse. And I said, you know what? To hell with this. I'm better than this. And I had to tell Marianne to take the kids on vacation without me because I was working. And I showed up at the house when they were taking off. I said, I'm going on vacation with you. And when I come back from vacation, I'm going to call Mikey, because I know he had an opening in his shop, and I'm going to move my shop into his. She goes, is he going to let you? I go, we'll see. So we were up on Holden Beach in North Carolina on vacation with Marianne's family. And it was, I sat on a porch and on the beach all day and read. And then one night, about 6 o'clock, 6:30, my cell phone went off, and I was in a hammock on the front porch. I said, hey, Mikey, how you doing? He goes, hey, how are you? I go, I'm on vacation. I'm up here in North Carolina. You ready? He goes, I have an idea. I didn't call him. And he called me. And he said, hey, I was thinking I kicked that guy out of my shop. I go, I heard. And he goes, and he paused, and I went, yeah, Mike. And he went, what? And I go, ask me the question, but the answer is yes. And I hung up the phone and I started to cry because that's when our business started. That was my turning point. So, Ed, I know you asked that question. I'm going to tell you something. That question has meant a lot to me because so many memories flooded by. And I think about that time in my life constantly. I got conned for about 3 months. But 2, fate and Mikey making that call. We connected. We always connected, but he called me because I had told Marianne at the beginning of that week that's what I was going to do when I got back. How weird is that?
It's crazy. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
First time I heard that story.
Guys, you're going to meet Mike Zeisler sometime, and you're going to go, holy shit, is that guy awesome? I've never met anybody who didn't love Mikey Zeisler. Hopefully someday he'll listen to this and know how much I love him, because I really do.
I'm going to shake his hand and say, I don't know how you dealt with a guy like Sed for so long.
Hey,
what happened to him?
I'm going to tell you something. He carved the stick for Moses. He carved
wow.
Moses' staff. Oh yeah, we go way back, him and I.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that question.
good question.
Yep. You guys, what was your turning point?
Mine's very simple. Mine's a two-parter, but the first
Go
one's
ahead.
very simple. I was on YouTube one day, and this channel comes up called Ben's Woodworking, and it's just the most terrible video I've ever seen. And I was like, this guy? So that's when I got a camera out and started recording.
Hey, hey,
Where-
hey, Ben.
Where
hey,
are you
Ben.
now? Where are you now, Ben? How'd that work out for you?
I'm in Virginia.
I'm just.
What do you mean?
How
Ben.
did you filming the videos and everything work out for you? How you?
Oh.
Well, let's back
sorry.
this up, Jason. Let's not forget who was ahead of who whenever I had to quit. So
Was no proof.
Ben, in that sis bench video, it took me a few minutes as you were moving around.
there's a couple shots. There's a couple
Oh
shots
my
where you can
God.
see it.
But that first time I saw that as you were switching, and I peed myself. I was like, "Oh my God!" And then I saw it the second time. That was
Just-
hysterical.
Just so everyone knows, I'm gonna try in every video going forward to have some type of an Easter egg like that.
Oh my God, that was
And
awesome.
for those listening that don't know what he's talking about, Ben has a dry erase board in his shop, and on it, in the background of multiple scenes of his awful video, said, "Jason Bent sucks."
Oh my God.
Jason, let's not forget what I engraved on the French cleat for that one as well,
Oh yeah, that's right.
which also says Jason Bent sucks. There were a couple of people that were like, "So do you like know him or?"
Let's get. I know. I saw a couple of the comments. What we should do is get stickers for workbench.
Like, yeah,
Con.
man, this one time I met him at Workbench Con. He was a douchebag.
I need
He
to
was a
read
part of
your
this little
comments.
breakfast club they had going on there.
Definitely not me. Hold on, I'm gonna look at your
Uh-huh.
comments.
So no, I think my turning point was after the first project that I had made back in like 2016 or something. That was whenever I kind of figured that I could take whatever, and I mentioned this in the previous podcast, whatever ideas I had in my head, I could do it with, woodworking and stuff like that. And so I started to pour all of my creative energies into coming up with the new designs and, just wanting to build things and experiment with ideas. And I figured that whatever ideas I had, that if I just shared them on YouTube, that it would either inspire other people or it would lead other people to buy the products that I had. And it actually turned out really well until I had to stop for a few years. But yeah, that was whenever it clicked for me that this is how I could be creative. That's when I knew that it would be something else. What about you, Jason?
So, I just read a comment. Jason Bent sucks? Question mark.
I know.
Yeah, you didn't know he did?
It was awesome.
So I'm taking this as like, when did woodworking go from a hobby to a business? For me, the minute I built anything, which was a little storage workbench. Funny, a picture popped up the other day because it was February of
Oh, you
2016.
made a post about it.
Well, no, the very next day, the very first thing I ever made popped up, and it was that workbench. And it's I think I have like a miter saw, my workbench that I just got done building, a circular saw, a drill, and like a couple of clamps. And that's like how I began, right? In February of 2016. And for me, I was just building stuff for the house and I became obsessed, and there was one project after another. And then a friend bought the first table I ever made, the very first project I ever made for our house, one of Nicole's friends that she worked with. And then we made her this is what I posted about. I made her a little entryway farmhouse style thing that matched the table. And then when I did that and someone was showing interest in what I was making and starting to ask the question, like, could you make something like that for me? I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, oh yeah, I love building stuff. I'll just make you something. That was kind of the turning point for me. And that's what led me to make my first project, which I was going to try and sell, which was a coffee table, which again, farmhouse style, matched everything else that I had made that she now had in her house. And I remember going over to her house to drop off the the piece that we made for her as a housewarming gift, which was the little entryway bench or entryway console. And I said, yeah, I'm really excited because since selling you the table and making this for you, I thought maybe I would make a coffee table and try to sell it on Facebook. And she hadn't seen it, nothing. She just looked at me and said, let me know how much you want for it because I want it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the day where I was like, I'm going to do this for other people.
Yeah.
And everything changed for me after that. I mean, it was just like a light bulb went off in my head. Like, holy cow, I could actually do this for other people. And so I finished the coffee table, sold it to her, dropped it off. She loved it. And that was it. No looking back.
It's awesome. I think that's how most people get started.
Yep.
They make well, maybe not nowadays, but back in 2015, 2016, when Facebook Marketplace was still pretty new and not saturated with stupidity, it was really, you could really thrive posting there. But nowadays it's not so much because pocket hole screws and farm tables kind of took over.
I feel kind of fortunate because I've had like 2 aha moments. One led to me building custom work for clients. And then I had another aha moment when it came to the social media stuff and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Very similar experience.
Yeah.
And it was just like that first positive reinforcement, on a YouTube video, like, wow, that's really freaking cool. Like I did this and somebody
Yeah.
appreciated it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do
That's-
this more.
That's still cool to this day. When
Yeah,
people do that.
It's
Somebody
cool when
asked-
people leave hate.
Somebody asked me the other day, how'd you get started on YouTube? And I said, you know what? You just get started. And it's funny because I truly believe this. It sounds kind of hokey and corny or whatever, but I think everybody in this world has something to offer.
Except
Or a different a different perspective. Because think about it, guys. We'll do videos for Festool, all 3 of us, right? But everybody has a different viewpoint on stuff. Like
Mhm.
Ben, I watched your video on the STM. Great points.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay. I could pick up points from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's and that's why I think everybody has something to offer because everybody has a different perspective. Everybody has a different opinion on things.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, and you mentioned it, Jason, a business of YouTube in a different perspective. It's enlightening, I think. And what, we joke around and stuff about, but you taught me something. We're odd. The 3 of us are odd because we're part of a community that creates content for YouTube. But a lot of people on YouTube don't create content. I thought everybody created content, but they don't. You go to the people who comment, and I'll look because if it's I want to know about people, and I look and they only have they don't have subscribers, they don't have videos, and that's the majority of them, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And when you told me that, I was like, really? Why don't people want to do this? It's fun because what you're doing is you're helping people.
Because it's work.
Well, I
No,
think
but-
it's a lot.
well,
I think
I
it's,
guess,
think
I
it's,
guess so. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it certainly is, but I also think that it's insecurities too. Well,
Yeah.
or maybe they don't want to create content.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah.
just want to be a part of the community, and they don't.
Yeah.
They're not ones that are adding value in that particular way. Maybe they're adding value in other ways.
Yeah. I just think everybody has something to give to this world. That's all.
Oh, absolutely. And some of that is hatred.
Oh yeah.
And I know me and Jason got plenty of hatred for tonight. So
Yeah.
And
I
I
was gonna
got one, but
suggest-
I'll have it next time because it was a really good one, but I zapped them back.
I was going to suggest, because of time, I was like, yeah, maybe why don't we try one more? Because Ashley sent in a really good question that I
Okay.
wanted to address. But do you want to do one more, or do you want to?
But is there one on the list that really sticks out to you guys that you would want to answer? Because we have quite a bit of questions that we didn't answer tonight that we could. So I don't know if there was. I mean, even though we picked our own questions, but I don't know if there was like a 4th one that kind of stuck out to you.
Well, let's just
I mean-
try one more because you
I mean,
said
we're-
Ashley has one.
Yeah, woodwork.
Because
and
we
whiskers.
answer all of them together, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the question?
So he
Jace.
sent in a question, and it was, how important is the community to each of you? And the reason I thought about that is
Oh.
because what some of the stuff you were just talking about. So why don't we talk about this last one, and then
Mhm.
we'll get into
Okay.
Get Bent.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and man, what a perfect segue.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start. So, each platform to me is a little bit different. On Instagram, I love the community because it's just a good group of people, right? Like it's rare when you're getting direct messages. I think that there's a mental aspect of it. People that are sending me direct messages typically it's very rare that I ever get like a negative direct message, right? Somebody is, working up the courage, quote unquote, to send a message to somebody that they would like to start a conversation with. And I think that's cool. On YouTube, it's basically completely anonymous, and there is no connection. They can just fire and forget, which they could do in DMs, but DMs I think is more personal, as where YouTube is just a public forum. So the community on YouTube, what I love about it so much is the encouragement from the people that truly find value in my videos. That is, we've talked about it before, that's the thing that keeps me doing this, period. Yeah, of course, I'm getting monetary incentives from ad revenue and affiliate marketing and stuff like that, but I could go get another job and make money as well, right? When I retire from the Army. Would I enjoy that as much? Maybe not.
You couldn't
I
be a
truly enjoy it.
prostitute. You couldn't be a prostitute, so we'll just rule that out.
I mean, I could. I just wouldn't get paid very well. And people have weird fetishes,
That's
with
true.
balding fat guys.
Hey, I want that Java guy
Hey.
to come sit on my face.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What? It's okay. I can talk about myself that way.
Joe Teabag? What?
Yeah. But so that's important to me. But Instagram is like a whole nother thing. Like I have not cared about Instagram for a very long time now in terms of like the grind of posting. The only thing that keeps me on Instagram is people like Ashley,
Mhm.
right? People that I have created a relationship with that I've never met, but I know I could talk to about so many different things. And it's like I've created all these friendships with people that I may never meet in person. People come to me and ask me questions. I have a community of people that I can ask questions to. It's cool. Like I like that. I like the fact that there still is some sort of platform which people can connect so much further than they would have ever been able to connect before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it's very, very important. Ben?
As Jason was talking, I was just thinking how, like the community is how I got good at woodworking. Like I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have, for those that listened to a few podcasts back, like I didn't have a dad growing up. My dad died when I was young. Like I didn't have anybody to teach me how to use a circ saw or how to use a drill I eventually kind of taught myself, but when I wanted to get better at doing things, the community is who I reached out to, whether that was directly or indirectly. And so for me to be a content creator, and we kind of talked about this earlier, like I love when not when someone says like, oh, this is a great video. Like those things are great. Like I love getting that critical feedback, whether that's good or bad, but it's the comments that I love to get or the tags or whatever is like when someone is building something on their own and they kind of credit me with helping them get to that point. Like my overall desire is I want people to win at whatever it is that they're doing. Like I write for Jason's website because I want him to win at what he wants to do. And so that's why I make woodworking content about Festool, because I've read posts where people have a frustration, like they can't really figure out something. And so for me to be able to take that problem and then use a video as a form of solution for that problem that they and other people have, that's where I get the gratification out of doing what I do. And so that's why the community is important to me, because if we are all sharing our experiences, if we are all sharing our our successes and our failures in the hopes that it makes other people good as well, like it's the rising tide lifts all vessels. You know, it's only going to make all of us good. And that's why the community is important to me, because it is how I became good at what I do. I could not have gotten to the point where I'm at now, and I'm not even where I want to be, had it not been for the community, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, like
Jason Bent.
Patreon. I'm trying to think of some other really influential individuals. Sedge, my cat Rue, my cat Gumbo,
Jason Bent.
Ash, Mike Coffee, Daniel Dunlap, Peter Kapar,
Patrick from Leather by
the
Dragonfly.
Makers podcast.
My God.
Literally everybody except for that one guy, Jason Bent.
Ben Ueda, you know.
But my turn.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yes.
Sedge. Why is the
I get-
community important to you?
I got you two guys as my friends. Think about it, Jason. Would I ever have met you? Would I
Nope.
have ever? Nope. Ben, would I have met you?
Mm-mm.
No, he
So
just
think-
rode on my
think,
coattails.
Think about
to
it.
meet
So
you.
for me, and what did you just say?
Said he just rode on my coattails to meet you.
Okay, so really quick.
show me all the important people. Go.
This March
17th
coming up. Okay, will mark my 5 years on Festool Sedge. That was something, guys. What's the average age on, say, Instagram?
Probably mid 30s, probably.
Okay, I'm a lot older than that, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Yeah. And you've heard me say this. I should be winding down in my career. Or I'm winding up. Instagram saved me. And I will tell everybody that Festool Sedge at work saved me. I needed to get my mojo back. I had lost one of my closest friends at Festool. Suddenly he passed away. I was really down in the dumps. And then we had an influencer event. I didn't even know what an influencer was. I had to ask. I was wandering aimlessly in life. And they told me I should do Festool Sedge. And I go, I can't. And I go, just do it. So I waited a couple of weeks, and on March 17th, I did my first post on Festool Sedge. And the response I got was phenomenal. I got 3,000 followers almost instantly. And I'll say it again, it saved me. Just the outpouring of the community. People, God damn it, it meant so much to me. And I went to a show once, and someone said, dude, you have inspired me. And I was just blown away that this kid was saying it. So much so I'm going into the trades. His name was Jim, and I met up in Canada. So long story short, everybody who's probably listening now to this podcast, everybody who watches a Sedge Tool video, thank you so much, because you have meant so much to me, where I even started my own channel on Sedge Tool because people who would come into Festool and I was teaching them, say, hey, can you show me how to sharpen? Can you show me how to do it? And people didn't know my background. They thought I was just a guy who worked at Festool, and my whole life has changed, where I didn't think I'd ever retire from Festool. I'm not, ever. I can't. But I just love helping people. And I think everybody knows that. And I met you two knuckleheads, and I could go on and on and on and on of all the people. Yeah, I met a lot of people working my day job before any of this, but it just exploded of all the cool people I met. So that the community means so much to me. And I just thank God every day that I'm part of it. And you guys allow me to, as you guys call me an old dude, but I don't think so. I think I'm like 18 still.
You know,
But
I'll
you're
say, Sedge, that had it not been for Festool Sedge, that I probably wouldn't own as much Festool as I do today.
You know, I hear that, Ben, and I just like teaching people about Festool, because it was weird. I would always say this: why are we keeping training a secret?
Yeah.
We got to get that out there. And yeah, it does. I guess the side benefit, it does sell tools, but I wanted to teach people, and I to this day with Festool Live, and I want to teach people how to use their track saw because they're only using it. Nick Schiffer told me after he was one of those influencers, and he was one of the guys who coached me that I should do Festool Sedge. He goes, Sedge, I'll never forget this. I've owned a Domino for 6 years, and it's worth every single penny. But I've only been using it from what you showed me yesterday in an hour. I've only been using it. My guys have only been using it like a sixth of its potential. I can't wait to go back and show those guys.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what?
And you know,
and we were keeping it a secret. If you go to Festool Sedge, that training program is on there. And I've hashtagged everything. It says Festool Sedge Capex. You can download all the Capex videos. You don't have to go through all. I think I got over 700 videos on there now.
and if people would just read the manuals, Festool Sedge would go out of business.
Yeah. Don't. No.
By the way, that's the one thing. Nobody reads the freaking manuals.
They don't. Either the
No,
operator manuals or the supplemental manuals. Like
So
nobody
we were-
reads them.
What was really funny, we were
People
doing
are
the
like,
training
oh my
once.
God, I didn't know this.
I
Like,
thought it was just. I thought it
Literally
was just.
came in the box, buddy. It's in the box.
I thought it was just Americans who don't read it. No, that's a worldwide standard. Nobody reads manuals anywhere in this world.
Well, it's the same for the army too. Sadly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all just. Well, I heard this somewhere. And then it becomes,
Oh, where? What
it
FM did you read
becomes
that up?
truth. Yeah. No, my sergeant major told me that he
Oh,
heard it from a guy.
back in my last unit. This
Yeah.
is how we did it.
This is how we did it. That means it's right.
It was SOP. Okay, it was in the SOP.
All right.
Let's do it.
Do we need to?
Yeah.
I think we need.
We do.
I think we need Hans.
Hans.
Hang on.
Get Hans.
Okay, I'll go get him.
This is the best.
It's my favorite.
It's the time for the hatred.
How the sausage?
I'm coming in. Guten Tag, guys.
You didn't pay a lot of money for that hat, did you?
Actually,
That
it was compliments of the Bent household.
Ooh.
Nicole said,
That-
if you're going to be slandering my people, you should at least look like it.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah, she texted me yesterday. She was like, "Hey, something's coming in the mail for the podcast." I was like, "What?" She sent me a picture of this. I was like, "No
Oh my god!
effing way."
I have the best wife ever.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me. She did not tell me.
She's like, "I can't wait to see the faces when you wear this hat."
It's beautiful.
And
I
she
thought
sounded
you
exactly like that.
I thought you photoshopped that earlier.
Oh,
No,
that
that was
was yeah.
Texas Yankee, and it was like the same hat. It looks like, I swear.
Oh, it's like
Yeah.
like I was shocked when I saw it because that was like right after she had sent me pictures of it. I was like, "No way."
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Oh my
It
God.
is. Okay,
Oh,
so sorry, I didn't mean to break characters there for a minute, but we were just kind of like chatting like hens, So, without further ado, everyone's favorite podcast segments across the whole internet, across all of the other woodworking podcasts, because believe it or not, we are the number one woodworking podcast on the internet.
Yep.
But we are also the most hated podcast on the internet. So it is only suiting that we come to you for the podcast segment called Get Bents and share all of the hatred from all of our contents. I know that I have some comments that have negatively affected my own self-image. Jason, I think you have some as well.
Yes, I do, Hans. Thank you.
And we are okay to talk about it because I've already talked to my therapist. I've already increased my Prozac prescription by 3 times because of all the hatred that comes in from all of these people. It's okay. All sharp objects are out of Hans's house. It's okay. Don't worry about us. You just keep bringing the hatred to all of us, and we will keep taking here on the Green Sorters podcast. I don't know if anyone else knows this or not, but we have a very unique way of handling things where we take contempt and turn it into content. It's a very simple solution for all the
Tempt the
hatred.
content.
for all the hatred that we have for being a part of Festool, you know. And so, Jason, I'm ready to go.
I am too.
I took 3 Prozac before I came on the show just so that I could get through the comments without crying. But it's okay. It's because I'm high right now on the
We had to change our logo to that hat.
Yes.
It's okay
Add
because
that
I'm high
hat
on
to
the
the
on the
guy.
psycho drugs that I'm on right now because it just it makes me feel better when I read my own hatred, because it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. I just like to take Prozac. Okay, guys, I want everyone to know that it doesn't really affect me. It affects me. It
All right,
affects me.
Hans. Jesus. Man, there's something about that hat. Boy, you really turned it up tonight.
The
I think
hatreds.
I think
The
I had to
hatreds.
for Nicole's sake because she went through the effort of sending me this. I'm like, okay, Hans will turn it up.
Okay.
Hans turns it up to 10.
All right. Wow, my mouth hurts. Like my jaw hurts. Okay. I guess I'll go ahead and read mine first. I've got some good ones tonight. This first one is from my Harvey bandsaw overview video. This man comments, "Thongs for footwear? That's where I changed the channel. Next."
Not before you left the comment though.
Right, not before I left the comment.
Oh,
Not before you left.
Apparently, I was wearing flip flops in my overview video of a bandsaw in my own shop.
I'm glad
And
he
one-
said footwear.
The
yeah,
one where you weren't operating anything, just
Right,
talking about it.
that's the one. All right, here we
Thank
go.
you, Pat. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, I was going to say thongs. That's what I wear in the shop for footwear. In America, we call them flip flops, pal.
Get it right,
All right.
buddy.
Next one is from my most recent video, the Hammer A341 joiner planer combo. This person says, "Piece of junk. Definitely not a Toyota, let alone a Lexus. Space saving is nominal. Inconvenience considerable. Fence is weak. Guard is flimsy. Most hobby shop layouts are just plain stupid. Lots of space hogging cabinets you just don't need."
What?
Yeah. So the Toyota and Lexus comment, clearly you didn't watch the video, but the Toyota and Lexus comment stems from when I was saying, you have Felder, and Felder makes 3 lines of
Oh yeah,
machines.
yeah.
They make the Hammer, the Felder, and the Format 4.
Yeah, I know.
know-
I watched the video.
Oh, okay. Hammer, Felder, Toyota, Lexus. Right.
Yeah.
So that was that one. These next 2 are.
I thought that was a pretty concise video. That was a good video.
I've got part
Yeah.
2 coming out on Friday
Hmm.
because I missed so many things and I was reminded by the comments. All right, these are 2 real quick ones, and then I've got a good one. All right, this was, I think these were both on my plywood video, how you should be cutting plywood. This person just comments, "You were hysterical in forgetting Sarah Marshall." I guess I look
That's a-
like the guy from forgetting Sarah
That's
Marshall.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I should make a t-shirt like that. This guy just says, "So you basically cut everything twice." Sure. All right. Here we go. This is a doozy. From the A341 joiner planer combo machine, and this will be my last one for the evening, everyone. He says, "Here is something to consider. I am not a fan of the Hammer machines, as you indicated. The fences are crap on them. But when you say a Powermatic 12-inch is now 10K, that really aggravates me. And here's why. The best machinery you could buy was all made in the USA. Better castings, better design, overall better. In fact, Powermatic was one of those companies. Then they started making cheaper crap in Asia, a lot of it copying the designs we have here. The castings are not the same, and they do not have the mass of the American stuff. They're not even half the machine. But that being said, people bought them because they were cheaper. And that was a part of the American woodworking machine industry going belly up. Not enough people recognize what quality is these days. It's all about price. When you say that that an Asian-made jointer, which isn't half the machine as, say, an Oliver 12-inch, is $10K, I laugh. I can find an old, heavy American-made 12-inch for anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 and have 1,000-time better machine for at most half the price. Blows my mind when people would buy those things.
What I find really interesting is that he uses the phrase could. I could buy.
Yeah.
It's like you could say I have these tools that I'm blabbering on about. But no, he says I could find, which tells me that he doesn't have them. So like everything he just said was just a bunch of BS.
Troll.
I mean, that's life. Like buy a new Oliver machine. Oh wait, you're only going to buy the old stuff when it was actually still produced in America before they outsource things overseas to save money. Just because that's one thing that really irritates me, that conversation. We should have that discussion on the podcast one day, but this immediate assumption that because something is made overseas, it's cheap.
Yeah, which is not the case.
I mean, hell, hammer, that's made in Austria, right? Festool, made in Germany. Right, that's overseas. It's not trash, right? But as soon as it comes to China or an Asian country, it's like, oh, it's cheap. Not necessarily.
As evidenced by what?
Yeah, blows my mind. But that is all the negative comments that I have today.
Yeah, we definitely could go on. All right. So here's my hatred comment, and it's a good one. And I was telling Sedge before we started recording that I found a gold mine, guys, when it comes to hatred.
Really?
An absolute gold mine. Now, there was an indication of it a couple months ago when I made the infamous post.
Oh, yeah.
The track saw makes the table saw obsolete. Changed my mind. Hashtag Ben starts World War III. And I'm talking about over on Facebook, the Woodworking for Beginners group is just a gold mine for hatred. You post something that requires a little bit of talent, a little bit of skill, people's heads explode, right? You challenge their beliefs, they come out of the woodworks with hatred. So recently, I released the first blog post on my website, which was titled Measure Twice, Cut Once. The fallacy of measuring once, cutting twice. How additional steps introduces additional errors. Something like that. I don't know. I'm a little drunk. It's okay. So I posted a link to the article in the Facebook group, just kind of like generally saying, hey, this is what this is about. And then I get this riveting comment from one of the frequenters on the Woodworking for Beginners Facebook group. Now, at this point, Jason, and I kind of had this discussion with myself earlier today. I don't know if we should all read in the Zoolander voice like you do, or if maybe we should take on our own identities for our own negative comments.
Yeah, Sedge does.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, for this particular person, this is the persona that I feel like that they are.
Oh, do it.
So, if you'll both allow me.
Yes.
What's the true measure of a woodworker? Is it there an esteemed author or a belly button ponderer that can give us 2,000 words on the topic? ?
My God. Oh my God.
And he kept going back. I mean, obviously I responded back with a smart ass comment. I said I should have made a coloring book version of the article.
Oh.
And he says, as a Renaissance man and an egotist, do you also weigh in on skincare, gluten-free recipes, and more? Yeesh! And I said, on my other website, yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I wish I could do your voices.
I also got a lot of positive comments too, but that was the one that I found the funniest.
That I feel like that should be your voice when you read your comments. 'Cause that is great. Although I think it'd be more entertaining if you had a new
Every
voice
time. Every time. I agree. I concur.
God, that was great.
It was good. So, ladies and gentlemen, just be rest assured that moving forward, that I will definitely have some more get bent comments for you because, like I said,
Nice.
I have struck comment gold.
No.
Hatred comment gold.
Nice. Wow.
Well, boys.
Such hatreds, you know?
Yeah, such hatred.
Such hatreds.
Gentlemen, this was episode 25.
Wow.
No, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, 25. Holy
Mm.
moly.
Our 5th community episode.
Wow.
Nice.
Quarter century old, gentlemen.
Yeah, no big deal. Must be
We're
why you're
wasted.
drinking wine to celebrate.
World's #1 podcast, woodworking podcast.
Absolutely. That's a fact.
Thanks.
I read it in the New York Times.
At least we don't solicit fake medical reviews for this podcast. We just want
Yeah.
legitimate.
Although they are-
Wow.
They are
even
pretty
even
funny,
if
though.
some of them may or may not be written by Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, this was a long one.
It was. It was the
It's
longest
good.
community one so far, for sure.
I like the community ones.
Yeah,
Me
they're
too.
Fun. You guys,
So let's
you guys definitely submitted a lot of great questions, and we really appreciate everyone that submitted them. There were quite a few that we didn't get to tonight, but don't worry, we'll keep them on the back burner for the next community episode coming up.
can't answer them all.
That's
Nope.
right. Can't make
Well, we
everybody
could,
happy.
but you know,
We will.
we need 100 more patrons before we do that.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving us your time, your attention,
Mhm.
your ears. We hope that you have a great rest of your February whenever you're listening to this.
Mhm.
Jason, where can everyone find you?
VinceWoodworking.com.
Sedge?
SedgeTool.com, Festool Sedge, Festool Shop Talk, and Sedge Tool on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Yeah, that's about it.
Everywhere. You
Everywhere.
can find me, Ben Marshall Designs on Instagram and YouTube and MarshallDesignWorks.com. And you can find all of us on GreenSuitersPodcast.com.
Yes.
If you want to have your question, if you want to guarantee to have your question read on the air, become a patron at any level and then submit your questions.
Please do.
We're growing. It's growing rapidly over there. We've picked up quite a few people this month alone.
Nice.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody. And we will see y'all in the next episode.
See you next time. Bye now.
Hey, this is Ben, co-host and editor of the Green Suiters Podcast. This episode is over, but if you want to hear more topics like this and you want to be a part of our conversation, head over to patreon.com/Green Suiters Podcast for early access to each show. If you're listening to this on free feeds, be sure to leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.